This man is the most popular exponent of the classic New Orleans R&B sound. He sold more records than any other black rock and roll star of the 50s. His relaxed, lowland boogie woogie, piano style, and easygoing warm vocals anchored the long series of national hits from the mid-50s to the early 60s. Throughout it all, his basic approach remained largely unchanged. He may not have been one of early rock's most charismatic, innovative, or threatening figures, but he was certainly one of the most consistent. He was more than just a rock and roll pioneer. He was a joyful, larger-than-life presence that music could light up any room. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Fats Domino. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born on February 26, 1928 in New Orleans, Louisiana, they called him Fats, a nickname that would stick for life, but at home, he was just Little Antoine, the youngest of 8 children in a Creole family that lived, breathed, and sang music. In New Orleans, music wasn't just a hobby, it was the heartbeat of the neighborhood. Every porch had a rhythm, and every block had a band, and the city itself seemed to swing to an invisible beat. His brother-in-law taught him how to play the piano, and by the age of 10, Fats could make the keys sing like nobody else in the neighborhood. His uncle, a musician himself, showed him the basics, but Fats took it somewhere new. He played low and heavy in the left hand, and bright and joyful on the right. That rolling rhythm was the Fats signature sound, a sound that could make an entire room dance. By his teens, he was sneaking into the clubs on the city west side, playing sax for a few dollars. Locals packed to see the kid with a big smile and the bigger sound. And it was there, one night in 1947, that everything changed. A band leader named Billy Diamond heard him play and gave him 2 things that would shape his destiny: a gig and a name. From now on, he said, "You're Fats Domino." And just like that, a legend was born. In 1949, Fats joined bandleader Dave Bartholomew in a partnership that would define his sound. That same year, they recorded a song that changed everything, "The Fat Man."
Love me, 'cause I know my way around.
It became one of the first rock and roll hits, selling over 1 million copies. Long before Elvis, before Chuck Berry, even before Little Richard, Fats Domino was already rocking the house. But Fats, he was just getting started. In 1955, Fats and Bartholomew struck gold again with the song "Ain't That a Shame." It wasn't just a song, it was a sound that the world haven't heard before. The bounce of New Orleans, the soul of rhythm and blues, and just a simple, pure joy. The song shot up the charts, but not without controversy. A sanitized version by white pop singer Pat Boone hit #1, while Fats' original song stayed on the R&B charts. But Fats didn't mind. When asked how he felt about the cover, he laughed and just said, "Well, I made the money and he got the glory." Soon, Fats was selling out shows across America. Even as segregation tried to keep audience apart, black and white teenagers danced to the same beat in the same room, united by the sound of that piano. By the 1950s, Fats Domino had sold more than 25 million records. He was everywhere: TV, radio, and jukeboxes. In every diner from New Orleans to New York. He didn't move much, he didn't shout or strut. He just smiled, sat down at his piano, and made the world dance. And with each hit, he laid another brick in the foundation of rock and roll. Through the 50s, Fats Domino became a household name. Songs like Ain't That a Shame,
Ain't that a shame? You
Blueberry Hill,
ever to be so we're
and I'm Walking dominated the charts.
gonna do is dry your while I'm walking. Yes, indeed, I'm talking. But you and me, I'm
His music was simple, but irresistible, a blend of blues, boogie woogie, and pure joy. By 1955, he sold more records than any other African American artist except for Louis Armstrong. Even rock's biggest stars paid their respects. Elvis once called Fats the real king of rock and roll. And the Beatles, before the fame, before Beatlemania, was covering Fats songs in smoky clubs in Germany. His music has crossed oceans, from London to Tokyo. People who didn't speak a word of English were singing every line. But behind the hits, Fats remained the same humble, kind, and happiest when he was in his home of New Orleans. He never chased fame, he just loved to play. By the end of the 50s, Fats had 11 top 10 hits and had over 65 million records sold. He wasn't just a rock star, he was an institution. Fats Domino music crossed racial boundaries at a time when America was still divided. His shows drew both black and white audiences, and sometimes the authorities that didn't like it. In cities across the South, his concerts was big targets for segregationists. But Fats never stopped playing. He believed in the power of the music to bring people together. The world was changing fast. Rock and roll had grown up. The civil rights movement was shaking the nation, and the new sound was taking over the airwaves. For Fats Domino, the man who helped start it all, the 60s was both kind and cruel. His music still made people dance, but the spotlight had shifted. As rock became louder, angrier, and more energetic, the general rhythms for New Orleans started to fade away from the charts. Fats never complained, he just kept playing. He toured endlessly, small clubs, big theaters, even Las Vegas. But the era of the piano man was ending. Still, his influence ran deep. From every young musician, from the Rolling Stones to Paul McCartney, carried a piece of his sound. By the end of the 60s, Fats had moved back to his beloved New Orleans. He was a family man more interested in barbecues and friends than fame and headlines. He once said, "I don't care too much for the spotlight, I just like to play." And that's exactly what he did. But the real storm was yet to come. Decades later, the city gave him everything he would face in his darkest hour, and so would he. By the 80s, Fats Domino was more than a musician. He was a monument, a living legend whose songs had never stopped playing. He inspired generations, from Elvis to the Beatles to modern rockers. Yet through it all, Fats stayed humble, soft-spoken, and deeply loyal to his hometown. Unlike many stars, he never left the city that raised him. Even as the world changed, he stayed right there in the lower ninth, the same neighborhood where it all began. Then in 2005, tragedy struck. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, Fats Domino was 77 years old. And for days, fans feared the worst. Reports started to spread that he was missing, but then a miracle came. Rescues found him alive, sitting in his home, surrounded by family, where he refused to leave. He said simply, "This is my home." Katrina may have taken his house, his gold records, and his piano, but it could never take the music. In the years that followed, New Orleans rebuilt, so did Fats. He returned to the stage a few times, and each appearance was a celebration. Crowds would just stand, just to see him smile, to hear that unmistakable laugh one more time. Sadly, on October 24th, 2017, Fats Domino passed away at the age of 89. The city mourned his loss as if they lost a family member. But New Orleans, they didn't stay quiet for long, because in that city, music never dies. Today, his rhythm still echoes in every note played on Bourbon Street. His songs still light up jukeboxes, still making people smile, still making them dance. Fats Domino just didn't make music, he made joy. From the crowded clubs of New Orleans to the top of the chart, Fats Domino's journey was more than music. It was a story of joy, resilience, and the power of a simple melody to bring people together. He never sought fame. His style influenced artists from the Beatles to Dr. John, and his songs remain timeless classics. Quietly, humbly, he helped build the sound of America, one note at a time. Fats Domino didn't just make music, he made people happy. And sometimes, that's the greatest legacy of all. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Fats Domino?